I don't know if you know that story, but when I was in Indonesia, when they were just introducing me, that this was a few years ago now, uh, there was a large number of people coming for my evening talk in Medan. I'm talking about 3 or 4 thousand. So they had to sell tickets only for 50 cents. The only way they could actually maintain the numbers in the hall so that not too many people came. And at the same time, it was Lady Gaga who was giving a talk in Jakarta, and she was also selling tickets, obviously. And they told me that Lady Gaga's tickets for her Jakarta concert sold out in 45 minutes or something. Ajahn Brahm's tickets sold out in 20 minutes. So they said, now you are in front of a monk who is more famous than Lady Gaga. I don't know if that's a compliment or what, because I've never seen Lady Gaga. But it was also a nice way of starting off with some humor. Because as I was just sitting out there, just waiting for things to start, I'm one of the students here. She just walked past, and I said, no, hello, good morning. And she looked so miserable. And I just can't understand that. Why are people miserable? You have a choice. You can smile if you want to. You don't always have to be miserable. And if you're miserable, it's like you're carrying the weight of the world, especially of the past, and you don't have to. In all the years that you've known me, and some of you have known me for a long time, how many times have I been miserable, Freddie? Very good, you're being honest. Why should you just be upset? Sometimes the way I was taught by Ajahn Chah, if there was some mistake, some disappointment, something went wrong in your life, you could always see something good in it, something in it to give you wisdom, and something in it. Look, even some years ago, I read this wonderful article about this famous monk in Thailand. His name was Chao Kun Tape City Muni. He was the abbot of one of the big monasteries over in the center of Bangkok. He's very well known, a great scholar, a very good meditator too. But he was about to be to come the next Sangharaju of Thailand, the next head monk of Thailand. Once the current head monk had passed away. But the number 3 monk was jealous. The number 3 monk said, I want to be the head monk of Thailand. Anyone who wants to be a head monk needs a head examined. I'll tell you why in a moment. Because this head monk, this number 2 monk, now he was a good monk, he gave lovely talks, but eventually they took snippets of a talk here, snippets there, they put them all together, and it looked like he was encouraging things which were illegal in the Thai government of the time. So the number 3 monk collected it all together and got a case up against him. And he was convicted and put in jail. Even monks go to jail sometimes. I have to be honest, I've been to jail many times. Only visiting though. But anyway, they put this monk in jail. And as a monk, even if you're not guilty, you still have to not wear brown robes, but wear white robes while you're in jail. And then eventually, the head monk passed away. Because this monk was in jail, he couldn't take over. So the number 3 monk got his wish. He became the head monk of Thailand. And short time afterwards, maybe 6 months afterwards, that head monk was involved in a car accident. He was going from Bangkok to the old airport in Don Mueang with a police escort in a limousine with a very skilled driver, and another car on the opposite side of the road lost control and slammed into the convoy, just into that part of the car where that Sangaraja was sitting. Only one person was injured in that road accident, and that was that Sangaraja. He was killed. And in Thailand, they thought, this is so unlikely. You're protected by police in a special sort of limousine, and still an accident, a car loses control on the opposite side of the road, goes over the median strip and hits you. There must be some karma behind that. So they checked on this deceased monk, and they found that he was the one behind this case against that number 2 monk at the time, Chakuntep Siddhi Muni. And so they investigated, and they realized that whole case was like trumped up. So they freed him, and they apologized. And it was lovely to see the results of that, asking him. So, they were terribly sorry. We imprisoned you for no reason for 2 years in the Thai jail. And this monk said, "What are you saying, sorry? These were some of the best years of my life. I could have a quiet sleep in the evening. I didn't have to answer people's questions on meditation. I didn't need to go and give talks all over the place. I didn't need to sign books. I didn't need to have my photograph taken. I could read whatever I liked whenever I wanted to. It was like being on a retreat for 2 years. I loved it." And he was being sincere. Imagine being a monk, especially a famous senior monk. Should I go on retreat by going to jail? Up to me, no, I disappoint you. Because if I did, I'll implicate you. You can have a retreat as well with me. But what he's doing is you see something happen which is bad, and you make it good. Even I did see when I do look at the news on the internet, and I did see that they're reinvestigating that case of MH370 again. And I'm sure that somebody's going to ask me this question again. Ajahn Brahm. Sometimes I fly Malaysian Airlines if I'm in Malaysia. Are you afraid, Ajahn Brahm, of what happened to MH370, dying at 30,000 feet? And I said, of course not. I said, the 3 advantages of dying in an aircraft explosion at 30,000 feet. This is like being positive about whatever happens to you. And those, the 3 advantages, I hope some of you remember this. The 3 advantages of dying in an aircraft explosion at 30,000 feet. Number 1, instant cremation. Sometimes you have to discuss, should it be cremation or should it be burial? You know what I want? I'll make this clear to each one of you. If I die in Hong Kong, for my funeral, I want to be mulched. It's only a body and bones and stuff. And once it's mulched, you can put it in a garden somewhere and grow trees from me. Isn't that a more environmentally friendly way of dealing with this old body? That's my wish, Gerald. The trouble is, they know I'll never come back and haunt you. So you're safe if you don't follow my opinions. But anyway, 30,000 feet, instant cremation. And your ashes are spread all over the place. You don't have to worry what to do, especially in Chinese culture, when you have to get an urn and you have to pay these monasteries thousands of dollars to keep the urn somewhere. And it is a bit of a money sort of getting money off you. They usually build these big, uh, they usually call them columbariums or kind of stupas, reliquaries. And the higher you go up in the reliquary, that means the more respect you have to the person who's passed away. And also, the more money you have to pay every year. To me, that's a bit of a scam. But if you really want to get higher than even the highest of these places you store your grandparents' ashes, 30,000 feet, die up there. No one can go higher than that. So funeral is very convenient. And also, how much do you have to pay in Hong Kong when somebody dies? I know I've seen it many times in the Chinese culture. You have to have free food for days and invite all your relations and even people you don't know. They manage to get in there as well, have a nice lunch or dinner. For days you have to do that, and that's really expensive. If you die at 30,000 feet, your family have to pay nothing at all cremation for free. And also, your family gets some insurance payout. In other words, your family actually makes some money out of your grandfather's passing away. Is that a good idea? Times are tough these days. The cost of living is going up. There's not much spare cash. So if I died that way, you'd save a lot of money. And lastly, if you die at 30,000 feet in an aircraft explosion, then what's the biggest benefit? Kelly? You're so close to heaven, it's easy to go the rest of the way. I like telling silly stories like that. Once in one aircraft I was sitting on, actually I'm making this up, so one aircraft, there was a dog sitting next to me. And I asked the handler, "What is that dog for?" And he said, "Security." He said, "I'll show you." So I got this dog, go up into the first class cabin. This little doggy went up into the first class cabin and he sniffed one of his passengers. And then he started barking once, wagged his tail, and came back to where his handler was sitting. "Oh my goodness," said the handler. "That dog has been highly trained. That wag and one bark means that person is carrying heroin. He's a drug smuggler." Let's see what else is on this cabin, on this aircraft. So I sent the dog into business class. In business class, this dog sniffed this other well-dressed gentleman, and then he barked twice, woof, woof, and wagged his tail twice, and then came back and said, "Wow, that's a signal that person is carrying cocaine. We'll arrest him too." Let's see what's on in economy class. There's always many more people in economy class. So he went to this other long-haired gentleman, sniffed him, and wagged his tail 3 times and barked 3 times. That is a sign for marijuana. That guy's carrying marijuana overseas. We'll arrest him too. Let's see what else is here. And he went up to this other gentleman, and this time he sniffed him. This time the dog never barked. He whimpered, and he put his tail between his legs. And when he came back, you asked the handler, "What does that mean?" "Oh dear, that means there's a bomb on board." Okay, that's just to warm you up with some funny stories. Do you mind the funny stories? Sometimes after I give talks, sometimes deep talks, sometimes ordinary talks, then I ask people afterwards, "What do you remember about the talks?" The jokes. But as this one monk once said, the reason to tell funny stories is that when, first of all, to calm people down when they're coming from outside, and number two is to remember that when you tell a funny story, that people start to listen to you. They want to find out what the punchline's going to be. And they know it's a bit of fun. And in between the jokes, that's when you tell the Dhamma. It's a way of tricking your brain to listen. So anyway, today is supposed to be a day of kindfulness. So please be kindful to me. If you don't understand the joke, if you don't get it, you can laugh anyway. Good. So there's something about laughter which is connected to kindness. When you laugh, you always laugh with somebody. You never laugh alone. It's always you share that laughter. And when you share that laughter, it's an act of connecting. It's an act of not taking yourself so seriously, not taking life so seriously. For how many people has something gone wrong this past year, since I last came here? Has life been perfect for you in this last year? Or has something gone wrong? Please put your hands up if something's gone wrong. Freddie, nothing's gone wrong? Everything's... Doesn't matter how much you struggle to make life perfect, to make your meditation perfect, Freddie. You never can make it perfect. You're kind to it, and you let it be perfect. The different way of looking at life. And I don't know, all these years I've been teaching meditation. You know how many years that I've been teaching meditation? The first time I taught meditation was when I was a school teacher in 1973, I think it was. Now it's 2024, 51 years I've been teaching meditation. Goodness gracious, I should be better by now. But of course, many times people come up to you and say, yes, I try, but it doesn't work. I try this type of meditation, it doesn't work. I'm mindful, I enjoy, I sit still for so long, and it still doesn't work. I remember Ajahn was once asked, if my meditation doesn't really take off, is it because I don't sit long enough? Have you got to sit for hour after hour after hour to be skilled at meditation? You know what Ajahn said? He said, if that was the case, then all the chickens in Thailand would be great meditators. They'll all be in jhanas and enlightened by now, because he saw chickens not just sitting on nice soft cushions, sitting on round eggs for hours after hours after hour. They must have such a sore bottom after sitting in that position, but they never move. And once the chickens are hatched, they're going to have more eggs and do the same all over again. Have you ever seen an enlightened chicken? So Ajahn used to call long periods of meditation chicken meditation. I kind of like his rebelliousness there. He was asking other questions of you. It doesn't matter of the length, the time of meditation. It's always about the quality of the meditation. How do you have deep quality meditation? Don't think that meditation is successful when you're concentrated. I tell this story every year. If meditation was about concentration, what would this day be? This would be the day of concentration camp in Hong Kong University. And that is not what we're doing. Many of you have seen me and known me for so many years. What do you remember about me? Hopefully it's the smile, the joy, the playfulness. And this is I'm over 72 now. I should be a grumpy old monk. That's what they say about old people in the West. The older you are, the more grumpy you become. Even though I go in a car, usually whose number plate says grumpy, that doesn't refer to me, does it? Thank you. Wise, okay. I have to change the number plate when I'm in town. But I don't mind. Nothing wrong with being grumpy. But even over in Sri Lanka, where I go very often and where I'm very popular, they call me, my nickname over there is the smiling white monk. And nobody asked me, can we use that nickname? They just said that because that's what they remember me. Many of the other monks, they always look so miserable. And that really just, it's not always the same now over in Sri Lanka because, that times have changed and people, I've told people even in the suttas, the picture which I always have of the Sangha in the time of the Buddha was of the Dhammacakya Sutta, where King Pasenadi went to visit the Buddha, and then because he was a king, he was let in, and when he bowed to the Buddha, please don't you ever do this to me, Gerald. This was a king, and he bent down and started kissing the feet of the Buddha. No, that's not an invitation, okay? And they said, I love coming to this monastery, is right next door, to the city where I have my government. And I love coming to this monastery, after I finished all my work. And then the Buddha asked, why do you like coming to this monastery? And there was the king said, and I always remember this, because all the Sangha in this monastery, whenever I come, they're always happy and smiling. And the Buddha replied, yes, that's what you can expect when that Sangha, the monks and nuns, are practicing meditation properly and getting into deep insights. It makes you happy and smiley and easier to get on with. Freddie, please don't get upset at me. But I know I asked you the other day when we went to Lama Island, Freddie, do you ever want to get married? He said, oh yes. If you want to make yourself more attractive, be more peaceful, more happy, smile more. That's right, yes. That's much better than going to a spa. So really, this is not the day of mindfulness or kindfulness at Hong Kong University. It's how to get a partner 101. I actually said that, that sometimes, I'm really old now as a monk. There's no hope for me or for you. But I said that quite a few times, sometimes monks disrobe. But when they do disrobe, I've always found this. They make great husbands. They learn how to work. They can fix things in the house. As a novice, they learn how to cook, to wash up, to always be very kind and considerate. So if you really want to find a partner, Freddie, ordain as a monk. Then afterwards you'll have this whole line of people. It's a good idea. Of course, I won't let you disrobe if you marry me. Once as a monk, you stay. Okay, very good. But nevertheless, that happiness there is so important in meditation. That's one of the reasons why people don't get as much success as they could do through their practice of meditation. They don't see the importance of that happiness, of that smile, of that joy inside. I know that even from my own early times as a meditator. Every time I did start to enjoy that meditation, I think there must be something wrong. We're not supposed to be attached to happiness. It's a danger. You just get addicted to that happiness. That's what I started to think until I got some really good teachers who said, no, that's not true. Sometimes, are all attachments wrong? Are all attachments dangerous? I often advise people, if you're traveling on the back seat of a motorbike through Hong Kong traffic, please be attached. Don't let go. You're always supposed to be positive. I say, yes, be positive, except for when you take a COVID test. What's the best blood type? Yeah, be positive. If that's your blood type, you should do very well in meditation. But nevertheless, I say these things because sometimes we get the wrong information. It's nice to be attached to the happiness of inspiration, of meditation. There's one part of that inspiration which is right there in Buddhism. It's taught, it's not just something on the edge of Buddhism. They call mudita. This is free happiness, which most people just reject. It's when you see someone else successful. If Freddie said today that he had just got this amazing meditation, got into jhanas, seriously, how many of you will be jealous? Why Freddie? He doesn't meditate as much as I do. Mudita is the opposite of jealousy. Someone has won the lotto. Someone has achieved something beautiful and happy in this life. And you're so happy for them. It's like free joy. One of the times I realized that, while I was waiting for a monk to arrive in Perth Airport many years ago. And at that time, these people from the Baha'i religion had been persecuted in Iran. And many of them, having gone through refugee camps, were finally given some refugee visas to come to Australia. Please come in. And many of those refugees, when they came through, the little gate, they just passed through customs and immigration. You can imagine how they felt. They're living in a free country now. They'd made it. Many of their friends and relations had been killed or died on the way. So when they came through the gate, I can still remember it. They were punching the air. Yay! We've made it. We're free. And there's a whole group of them, maybe 30 or 40 came through. They're all punching the air, crying with joy. And then I found I too was crying with joy and punching the air. I'm a Buddhist, not a Baha'i. It was kind of infectious, the joy, the happiness. And I was doing that simply because that's how I've been trained in meditation. It's mudita. You see someone else, being free from a disease, being free from a big burden or problem, getting a lovely meditation, getting an amazing time. Yeah, well done. What about you? Oh, come later on. This is when we have this free joy of rejoicing in other people's successes. Is that very common? in a place like Hong Kong, when somebody else gets a promotion, you don't? Do you say, yeah, well done, hey, congratulations? I don't think so. But that is just, anyway, why do you want to get promoted? Don't you do enough work already? In my life as a monk, I was having a wonderful time as number 2 monk. And then the senior monk in my monastery, I've got to say, let's be honest, he fell in love and just left the order and became married. I never had any mudita at all then. The reason why is because now I had to do all the work. It's always much more fun being number 2. I always say it's like being in a convoy. It's the front car gets all the bugs on the windscreen. So that's me today. There's so many bugs on my... But anyhow, that's how mudita is a free source of joy. And there's other sources of joy and happiness as well. The source of joy and happiness when you don't have to carry around the burden of the past. What have you done in your life so far? How many mistakes do you feel terrible about? What do you think Ajahn Brahm was like as a small kid? If you want to know from my history, I was smart but naughty. I remember clearly it was my mother's birthday, and I was about 7 years of age, or maybe 8. I needed to get her a birthday present. So what can I get my dear mother? Now this is, don't follow me. Ajahn Brahm did this. It doesn't mean you can do this. I was only 7 at the time. So this was in London. And at that time in London, there was a food craze. Eels and mashed potatoes. Now, to a Westerner, an eel, sounds disgusting. I don't know, I've never eaten one, but I did buy one from my mum. A live one. Only cost a few pence. And I took it home, it's still alive, and I decided to put it in this nice little box. I had it, I did it. I apologize, but I'm being honest. I put it in this little box, and I had all this birthday paper, and I wrapped it up myself as best a 7-year-old can. A nice little ribbon on the outside, which I tied, not perfectly, but I was only a 7-year-old, and a nice little card. To Mummy, happy birthday, with love from your son. Surprise. It was a surprise. And you can imagine, those of you who have children, your little 7-year-old gets you a present all by himself. Ah, so sweet. And I managed to keep a straight face when I was doing this. My little mother, it's so wonderful. And then she opened her birthday present for her darling little kid. And when she opened it, took the packaging off and opened the lid. This eel, I could not have trained it better. As soon as she opened the lid, the eel lifted its head and stared at my mother. She screamed so loud, it's probably heard all over London. But I was smart. I had what these days they call exit strategy. I knew exactly where I was going to run and where I was going to hide for a couple of hours until the heat went down. And the one thing I found out about that was just how kind and loving a mother was. She never wanted to punish me, even though I was really naughty. Thank you anyway. It's the thought that counts. So anyhow, I escaped there. But I'm just saying that these days I feel sort of a bit guilty about that. But I've dropped that so many years ago. I'd never do that to anybody ever again. Maybe. No, of course not. So, so there's, I don't mind saying this. I always like saying new stories and new stuff. I'll get on to what I'm supposed to talk about in a moment. But many of you who've been to Perth know that one of our key workers in our organization is what we call our operations manager, Leha, and it's her 60th birthday today. So I sent her an email, a birthday wish, and it started off, "Dear Leha, my commiserations. Now you are no longer old, no longer young. Welcome to old age. And I give you some advice, because I did this 12 years ago. Once you get old, please see the positive side of it. Now, whenever you forget something, you don't need to feel guilty. You've got a good excuse." And also, I wanted to tell you, what was it? I forgot about it. Happy birthday. Trying to make a nice gesture of kindness and friendship to someone who works so hard. I kind of love doing that. Seeing things in a slightly different way. That kindness, that fun allows you to have a happy mind. And once you have a happy mind, you're not afraid. You respect that joy and fun, which even a 72-year-old monk can still practice. When you do things like that, it's easier to get deep meditation. Why do I say that? How many times when you meditate, "Oh, this is terrible. I'm too tired. I'm too old. It's too hot. There's too many things I have to worry about. All that stuff I did in the past." Well, can't you let it go? You probably heard of this little technique. It's only a 10-minute or 5-minute meditation. This is like kind of an introduction, so it's not going to be a full meditation. You don't have to change your posture. Just now close your eyes. When you close your eyes, just imagine that in your left hand is a shopping bag. In your right hand is another shopping bag. And both bags are so full. So we're not really meditating yet. We're just, you can leave the lights on. Yeah. Imagine in the left hand a big shopping bag, in the right hand another big shopping bag. And they're so full with stuff. And they're very heavy. And you've been carrying them for a long time, sometimes many years. And so your arm feels so exhausted. Your shoulders ache from the strain of having to carry these things for such a long time. And you look at the bag in the left hand. And when you look on the outside, like most shopping bags, they have a name on the outside. But this doesn't represent the shop where you bought this stuff, because those 4 letters read PAST. That's a shopping bag containing your past, that you've been carrying around for such a long time. It really is heavy, and you're tired and aching. And you look in the shopping bag in your right hand, and that has the words FUTURE, future. That is also so heavy, and it's wearing you out. And then, still with your eyes closed, you just focus on the shopping bag in your left hand. And you have the great insight, why not put it down for a few minutes? So imagine your back leaning to the left, allowing you to lower the left hand bag to the floor. And once it meets the ground, all the weight disappears. You're still holding the handle, so now you uncurl your fingers from the handle, straighten up your back so your arm can be separated from the heavy bag, and it can now rest, relax, rejuvenate, re-energized by your left side. And now you can feel the bag in the right hand, really heavy. You do the same. You lean to the right this time, allowing you to lower the bag in your right hand to the ground. When it meets the floor, all of the burden, the weight vanishes, allowing you to move your hand away. You've let go of those two heavy bags, the past and the future. And you look at them on the floor. No one takes them away yet. They're safe, they're still there. But you're standing in this magic place in between, called the present moment, a place of rest, of restoring energy, of getting perspective. And when you're standing in that place in the middle, you stand there as long as you can. And when it's time to pick up those bags again, you find because your arms have rested, they don't feel such a heavy burden anymore. That's what happens when you let things go. You can open your eyes now. It's only just an introduction of a technique of letting go. That's how easy it is to let go of the past and future. If you just say to yourself, I've got to let go of the past, I've got to let go of the future, it's a hard thing to do. How do you do it? There's a lovely little exercise which helps you do it. It works, and you get a taste of freedom from the past and the future. You're just being here. And you find if you can let go of the past, there's nothing wrong about that. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to feel that, you're being an incompetent human being, that other people are suffering and you're not. Why do people feel like that? I don't know how you've been conditioned, but it's wonderful. When I see a happy person, that's a gift to me. Your happiness makes me happy. Just like that story, I haven't told it, I think, or did I? The story of that man in I did, yes. But anyway, I'll tell it again now. That guy in Sheffield. This was just last December, November, December. I was teaching a retreat in Sheffield in UK. And as I was going from the railway station to the venue for the retreat, in the centre of Sheffield, the local council were doing some road works. And this was a Saturday morning. Didn't expect to see roadworks on a Saturday morning, but nevertheless, there's this big backhoe just was digging up the road to relay it. And the guy in the big backhoe was the boss of the whole operation. And he saw me. He opened the window of his big machine and he shouted at me, "Hey! You are the spitting image of Ajahn Brahm in Australia." That's what he said. And I replied, I can understand that. I am Ajahn Brahm, but in Sheffield today. And he turned off his machine and came down the ladder and got everyone else to stop. He was English, a Yorkshire man, to take photo session. So you taking photos, it's not because you're from Hong Kong. They do that all over the world. I must say the worst ones are the Indonesians. I have to give it. Any from Indonesia here today? No. I say the Indonesians because once I was just in transit in Singapore airport. There's a whole lot of Indonesian Buddhists They were just coming back from pilgrimage. They'd been to India on pilgrimage. And they saw me. Ajahn Brahm, can we take photo? And they always say yes, but I didn't realize they wanted individual photos, group photos, family photos, partner photos. It took about an hour. And I was just transiting from one flight to another flight. When I got to my gate, they were calling out my name. Mr. Brahmawang, so please come straight away. We've only got a few minutes left before you lose your flight. But anyway, I love that story because it was just the joy and happiness of doing something for people who supported you, making them happy. So anyhow, that learning how to let go of that past and that future, it's not as hard as people think when you allow yourself to let it go. It's not forgiveness. It's not letting the past disappear yet. Just giving yourself an hour to see what it's like when that past is not a burden, it's not a heavy weight which you have to keep carrying. And the future. Oh, coming to Hong Kong this time. Oh, people have got all these negative ideas about the future. You always see something good about what's happened to the future. If you lose your job, great. You can become a monk or a nun. He said, there's no room in my monastery in Perth. Exactly. Start a monastery here in Hong Kong, in Namas Island. I went there yesterday. It's a place you can become a monk or a nun there. Why not? At least if you're a monk or a nun, you have job security. And you have lots of job satisfaction as well. Like people stopping you in the street and say, hey, you're the spitting image of Ajahn this or Venerable that or Sister that. That's something which I never expected. The way that people love and respect Buddhist monks and nuns. They're rare in this world, good ones. But when you see one, the amount of respect you receive is just basically out of this world. You don't need it, but it's for you. You're valuing, what you're getting. And even some of these experiences in meditation, it usually happens to someone once a year. That this, okay, she's Malaysian, but when she was one of these people who'd been meditating for years, never got anywhere, really smart, very devoted, came on one of these retreats I was holding, I think in Khao Lak. After the tsunami, the hotels were really cheap. I know that people are afraid of ghosts, but ghosts are very helpful. I love ghosts. They are helpful. They can do things for you, find things for you. If you lose them, you ask them kindly and they will look after you. Anyway, this always happens. You can understand why later on. It was the end, the last day of a 9-day retreat. On the last day, we completed that retreat with the chanting, the photographs and stuff. And then I was just having orange juice, I think, or an apple juice or something, in the shade, just waiting for my taxi to take me to the airport to take me back to Perth. She had an hour before her taxi could take her to the airport to fly back to her home country, actually to Kuala Lumpur. And she had nothing to do. What would you do if you have nothing to do? She had enough food. She'd rested enough. She'd walked by the beach enough. So she went back into the hall to do another hour's meditation. But she said she wasn't really sick. She'd been meditating for days, not getting anywhere. So she decided to go in there. In her words, I remember what she said, to kill time. So she sat down there for the first time in a meditation. It wasn't to try and get somewhere, to watch her breath or to be peaceful, just to kill time. I'll never forget her when she came out of her meditation. And she came to see me. I was drinking my juice, fruit juice. And she was kneeling on the floor. I was sitting on a chair with her hands up. Ah, ah, oh, Ajahn, Ajahn Brahm. I am underdoing it the way she was doing it. She was a successful business lady, and it was looked like she had just fallen in love with someone, like a teenage girl, like a daughter. Oh, daddy, daddy, I found this beautiful guy. But it wasn't like that type of love. Oh, oh, alas, oh, I just come out, oh, of this wonderful meditation. There's just so much bliss coming out of her, and that was really sweet. And I love seeing that. Of course, it's happened other times as well with other meditators, guys as well. When guys come up, Freddie comes up and says, "Oh, oh, I don't, oh, oh." It's weird, but the joy and the happiness and the bliss take over. Even just you've let go of the past, you're free. You've let go of fear of the future, you're free. But shouldn't we all be afraid of the future? All together, we may find a solution. Blah, 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 blah. If any of you are afraid of the future and you see a person coming up to you, go, oh, 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 what do you feel? There's a way out. It gives you perspective. It gives you another way of doing things. Not joining this mad crowd who goes running over a cliff. You find another way, a joyful way, a happy way. And so what happens is you start to celebrate and not feel afraid of the happiness, the peace, the freedom which comes up in meditation. You can allow it to be. And I say that because a lot of times some people feel guilty when they're happy and so many other people aren't. Instead, what you're doing when you feel really happy, let other people see you. Explain what their happiness is and how they too can be happy. There was a story of this painter, and he was a portrait painter, and he loved what he was doing. He was very, very good, making a good living out of this. But one day, he was in a motorbike accident, and when he woke up in a hospital, he found that the surgeons had amputated one of his hands. It was not viable anymore. Worse, that was the hand which he used to paint with. It was not just losing a hand, it was losing what he loved the most in life. What was his career? And he was so depressed after that he resolved as soon as he was let out of hospital, he would commit suicide. And that's what he attempted to do. He climbed up one of these big multi-story buildings, went onto the roof, was about to jump off to his certain death. But he happened to see another man on the street who had no arms at all. And somehow or other he'd lost both of the arms. And this gentleman was dancing up and down the street in joy. And this artist who just lost a hand started to think, why am I so negative? I've just lost a hand. There's a guy down there, I see with my own eyes, who's dancing for joy, and he's got no arms at all. So the artist decided there's no reason to commit suicide just because you lost a hand, even if it's an important hand. So he immediately ran to the nearest elevator, went down to the ground floor, went outside, and went running after this gentleman who was dancing for joy. It's easy to spot in the crowd. Not many people have no arms. And when he found him, this artist gave him this huge hug and said, Thank you, thank you, thank you. Why? Said the armless man. Look, before I saw you, I was so depressed, I was suicidal, about to jump off. And when I saw you dancing up and down the street for joy, I realized there's more to life than I thought. What is your secret? Teach me. And that's when the armless man told the artist, look, I'm not dancing up and down the street for joy. I've just got an itchy bum, and that's the only way I can scratch it. Thank you for laughing, because sometimes people don't get that story and the power behind it. So anyhow, so when we don't have to fear the future, we don't have to worry about the past, at least for an hour or 40 minutes when we do some meditation, isn't that a wonderful relief? It is. And when you can teach that to others, it's a great gift you can give. You know, one of the reasons why the present moment is so free, sometimes people feel you're in a prison. You can't go to the past, you can't go to the future, you've got to stay right now. Please never do that through force. Do that because there's nowhere else you want to be. Just being here. I don't know how you feel right now. I don't. What is the time? Okay, I've got plenty of time. What time am I supposed to go? Oh my goodness. I put myself in the prison of time again. But but once you have that kind of freedom, it's not being in a prison at all. Present moment is like having all the time in the world. And you enjoy it. One of its advantages is in this present moment, you cannot want anything. I said you shouldn't. This is not an act of will. Right now, what can you want? Wanting needs a destination in the future in order to exist. I want to go to the toilet. You've got an idea of the toilet over there somewhere. Or I want to be fed. That's all in the future. But right now, if you just have this moment here, this is good enough. You're already here. You're surviving. There cannot be any wanting. Without a past, there cannot be any negativity. You're just here. It's a place where wanting starts to vanish. And that's one of the most important things in meditation practice. Not to want anything in the whole world. Just happy to be here. And sometimes, if this present moment is physically hard, too hot, too cold, too painful, you never know what can happen next. Please excuse me, I love telling stories because they make it more real. The first year I was a forest monk in Thailand, I had just a toothache. I was only a toothache, but this was a really severe toothache. And I couldn't go to sleep. I couldn't even meditate. I thought I had a strong will, but every time you close your eyes, your jaw was exploding with pain. I did walking meditation. I couldn't walk meditation. I was doing running meditation. Anything you do when you're in pain, you have to do fast. And I started chanting. Remember, I was a theoretical physicist before I was a monk. I didn't really believe in the chanting at first, but I gave it a try. When you're desperate, you try anything. I had to stop the chanting. I wasn't chanting, I was shouting the chant. And you got to one of these wonderful places where you've tried everything you've known. I went to the medicine cabinet. This was in Thailand, a poor forest monastery. There was nothing in the medicine cabinet, nothing. But anyway, what do you do next? I ran out of all options. And those are wonderful times when it hurts so much, you can't stand it any longer, but you don't know what to do. So what I decided, something I'd heard many teachers say, let go. And that was the first time in my life I actually did that. I let go. Let go of trying to get rid of it. Let go of trying to find some solution where I could be and the pain wasn't. The weird thing was, it surprised me to the max. As soon as I said that let go and acted upon it, the pain just didn't just go. It was replaced almost instantaneously by bliss. You have weird experiences, but that is as accurate as I can possibly tell you. So much pain you can't sleep, it's driving you crazy. And then you just remember, I'll just let it be, let go. And the pain vanished, and you're blissed out. I went back to my hut, crossed my legs to meditate, easy. And I did feel I should, have some sleep. So I lay down for about an hour, fell asleep, and I woke up with a toothache, but it was mild. But the power of that letting be kind of shocked me. What it told me was it's because of your expectations based on what's happened in the past. It frees you from these almost miraculous experiences of 1 second being in extreme pain, the next second being free from pain, and being replaced by bliss. And I'm being honest with you. Don't think, Ajahn Brahm is crazy. It's different, but it took away a lot of the fear of pain. You can let go. Just be in this moment, and the pain can't get in. It's replaced by a bliss, a freedom. And I say that because that's happened to many people. I don't know what you think your meditation is like, or what your abilities are, or why you're here. But each one of you, one day I hope that will happen to you. And realize just how, when we think, I can't meditate, you should always say, no, it's not I can't meditate, I haven't meditated properly yet. I haven't found a solution yet. I love that word, yet. It's only a matter of time. One last story. And that is the story of the refugee who came to Australia. He was a doctor in his home country, highly educated, very skilled. When he went to Australia, his abilities weren't recognized. He needed to go and do tests and stuff. So the only thing he could do was to get a job on a building site. And his first day on a building site, he worked very hard. And his wife asked him when he came home, how much did you get today? I got nothing. I didn't get paid at all. He went on Tuesday and Wednesday as well, still didn't get paid. He went on Thursday. Again, he worked really hard, never got paid a cent. And he told his wife, these Australians, they exploit refugees. They make me work so hard for no money at all. And his wife said, well, you better go to work on Friday, not doing anything else. Okay, one last day. He went to work on Friday, and in the middle of the morning, the boss asked him to come into the office, and the boss gave him this big pay packet, so many dollars in his pay packet. And when he went home, he told his wife, I finally understood how it works in these Western countries. From now on, I'm only going to go to work on a Friday. Sometimes we think with meditation or with problem solving in your life, it hasn't worked yet. Keep on going. If you haven't achieved nice meditation yet, please remember the check is in the mail. Okay, so now I should do a meditation. Now I'm going to lead the meditation at the beginning, and please let me go, because at 11 o'clock I'm supposed to disappear to do a vanishing act. Don't turn off all the lights, otherwise I can't see the clock. If any of you need to go to the toilet, please go to the toilet. But for each one of you, apparently, you're having lunch at 11:30. Is that correct? You don't have to. You can keep on meditating till 12, 1, 2. No, am I correct? Okay. So I will do a vanishing act at 11 o'clock. Hopefully, no, it's half an hour. So hopefully that even in that half an hour, I'll give enough instructions so you can get started in this meditation process, and then just let the mind follow the peace. So first of all, I just do nothing. Just getting myself comfortable. And you can see that this morning I'm sitting on a chair meditating. You can get into very, very deep samadhi, which means stillness, even sitting on a chair. If you can sit on the floor with no aches and pains, fine. If not, sit on a chair. Even the Buddha, there's carvings of him in India meditating on a chair. And I begin my meditation by being mindful of my body. This is based on the advice of the Buddha. One of the first things to do in meditation is making mindfulness a priority. And I start by being mindful of my body. And I ask myself, first of all, feet, how are you? It's like when you meet an old friend you haven't seen for years. You ask them, how are you? And they tell you how they feel. So my feet do. They answer the question, they tell me how they are. That's called mindfulness. I'm aware of the sensations in my feet. And once I made that connection between my mind and the feelings in the feet, I learn more about those feelings, those sensations. And in particular, when I add kindness, my feet relax. They experience more ease, more comfort. And I realize what I'm doing to my feet with mindfulness and kindness, and experiencing the ease and the joy of that relaxation. That same process I will soon do to my mind. Not yet, but I'll feel my mind, give it kindness, and relax that to the max. Relaxation of the mind is called calm, stillness, samadhi. And I'm still observing my feet. And please don't rush this part of the meditation. After a while, it becomes fascinating how much you can learn about a part of the body which you think is not so important as your own feet. And I go past my feet to my ankles. I know the sensations there. You may feel this is strange, but honestly, the ankle feeling and the knee feeling in my body, the wrist feeling, elbow feelings, are totally different. You know them so well that you can know when any one of those parts of your body are under stress. And if they are under stress, you give it kindfulness, and the stress disappears. You understand how to develop a healthy body. And then pass the ankles to the lower legs, to the calves, and the bones and the skin in your lower legs. I can feel them now. And my job is just to have this wonderful kindness, enough to allow them to relax. I'm not afraid. Kindness is one of the antidotes to fear. I'm kind to all parts of those lower legs. I go up to the knees. I have hurt my knees many times in the past, falling off motorbikes, playing soccer, or even as a monk, falling off roofs, trying to fix the gutters. But always managed to survive. And now many of those feelings, because I've let go of the past and relaxed all that part of my body around my knees feel just really comfortable, mostly. One thing that mindfulness does, it gives you feedback so you can learn that type of kindfulness which lessens any tightness or tension in your body and right now in your knees. So I go past those knees when they're relaxed, go to the thighs, relax them to the max. And then I go to the buttocks, with all the weight of my body on top of those buttocks pressing into the cushion of the chair. In order to have comfort, you realize you want an evenness of the spread of that pressure. Because if it's even, then those feelings will soon disappear, they'll vanish. And I go from the buttocks to the back, to the waist first of all. And I kind of like just straightening up my back, which I'm now going to do. It makes the meditation, or the body, feel stronger and actually more relaxed. And I check my back, go up the spine. If I find any tension anywhere, I just do a little bit of stretching, wiggle the back, till I can find the optimum position. I don't do this through theory, I do it through trial and error. And I go to the bottom of the torso again. And I like to scanning my attention up my digestive tract. Maybe it's because I'm a monk. Sometimes you don't eat what you think you're eating. Many monks have sore tummies. I tend not to, because I know how to relax my colon and my intestine. As I scan upwards, if I come across any part of my body which is tight, tense, abnormal, pause there, give kindness. And if it really is kindness, the tension, the difficulty vanish. That's how I learn kindness, what it actually is. It's what relaxes and frees things. And I go to my shoulders, relaxing them, down my arms, then my fingers, making sure they're in a good position. I know they're in a good position when I feel it, and I kind of ask my fingers, are you comfortable? Would you like to be moved? And when the clear answer comes, no, they're happy as they are. This is how you learn through mindfulness and kindness to get a very comfortable meditation posture. And I go back up to my shoulders and my neck, always making sure my head is well balanced on top of the neck. And then to my face, relaxing the facial muscles around the eyes, the nose and the mouth. Once you're aware of those muscles, you soon find it very easy to relax them, to take away any tightness or tension. Usually I do this so much more slowly because I enjoy it. There's a certain amount of pleasure which comes from a relaxed body. It feels good. And that's one of the first pleasures which I was scared of at first. The pleasure of a good posture. Relaxed, easy. It made me feel safe. This meditation was actually working. And it's just on my body. And to move to my mind, I don't go to my breath yet. I just bring up the idea of peace. Peace belongs in the mind. And it's an important part of the meditation. So I ask myself, how peaceful am I? I'm mindful of how peaceful is my mind. And as I start noticing this emotional thing called peace, I also learn how to deepen that peace, strengthen it, maintain it. And this is where I notice how present moment awareness is crucial to peace. So much of the disturbance is from the past and the future. I don't want to do that all the time. I give these minutes to peace, the present. In order to stay in the present moment, I also learn to value how joyful is this moment. If there's any aches or pains or difficulties anywhere, this is where I'm learning. I learn from the present, never the past, never from the future. I don't learn from books. I learn from experience, through actually feeling it. And usually this is as far as I teach in the guided meditation. Once there is peace, also the silence, just stay there. Never go on to the next stage. Stay where you are, guarding the mind from wanting anything. The longer you stay here, the more you'll find yourself being drawn inwards. And just a couple of moments ago, the breath came to me. I didn't go looking for the breath. Everything else was disappearing. The breath was the last thing to watch. I don't try and stay with it. I'm just kind to it. My breath is like a good old friend. When we meet each other, we have joy. And sometimes you can't pull us apart. My breath and I are happy in each other's company. That's how I watch the breath, with joy. I will be quiet now.